Introducing our first player representing Sweden, Mattias Falck. And his opponent, representing China, Wang Chuqin.
So Mattias Falck, and here you can see Wang Chuqin, who's 21 years of age, another left-hander, and he's a gold medalist at the World Championships 2021 in the mixed doubles. In 2019 he won the doubles, 2018 in the team event, Youth Olympic gold medalist in Buenos Aires in 2018, also a gold medalist in that same event, in that same meet at the mixed team event, and gold medals as well in the Asian Games. As always, best of 5, first to 11 points, and we've had one game that's gone to use so far. Let's see if that happens here. Caden Wong of Singapore, the umpire for this one. So Mattias Falck, who's 30 years of age, there he is. They only met once before in the Hungarian Open in 2019, and that was a very straightforward win for Wang Chuqin, who won that in 4 straight games. And Falck has been a pro almost double the time that Wang Chuqin has been on the scene.
Yeah, that said, Wang Chuqin, no question, is dangerous. He's got explosive power, but plays unlike anyone else on the Chinese national team. Qin Zhijian in the corner, formerly the personal coach for the captain, the dragon, the dictator, Ma Long. He's seen the greatest. And at the other side of the table here, Mattias Falck came home a hero to Sweden. In the hills of Halmstad, had a band, had the mayor, had just thousands of people on the hills welcoming him back after taking the silver medal in 2019 at the World Championships, only losing to the 3-time world champion, Ma Long. So, should be quite interesting to see. He's got short pips on the forehand side of the racket, Mattias Falck, and he's got a traditional spinny rubber on the backhand. I'll tell you more about that after the coin toss.
Receive.
So I want you to serve first. Yeah, tell us more about the short pips and what that means.
So for those of you newer to table tennis, if you've played at a local park or on a cruise ship or at a friend's house, they probably have rackets that look like Legos on one side. They've got little bumps everywhere. We call those pips or pimples in Europe and much of the world. Now, the shorter they are, the faster it hits the ball, the more of an attacking rubber it is. I'll talk about Wang Chuqin for just a minute. The left-handed player is one of almost no one in the world to have a winning record against Ma Long for some time.
Wow.
Almost no one can say that, having played him more than twice, other than maybe Wang Hao. And I think part of that was that they just clashed at a time when Wang Hao was closer to his peak than Ma Long was. Wang Chuqin has a lot of passion. He's called Big Head in China, Dato, but also Lionheart because of his passion. He was actually benched, taken off playing for a while after tossing his racket for a behavior warning. But that passion, I think, is also a big part of what makes him so good. Mattias Falck, the short pips you'll see in a minute, on the other side of the racket is forehand. What that means is he's going to hit the ball with less rotation. He's going to hit it flatter, which means it's tougher to rally. Players will naturally hit it back into the net. But it also means that he can't attack the ball from his low because he doesn't have as much spin to arc the ball up and help the ball come down aggressively on the table.
Because he's got these short pips.
Correct.
Right.
So the short pips have their pros and cons. If it was only advantage, everyone would be using them. Mattias Falck did because he's got long arms and he didn't have the shoulder strength when he was younger. He just said, my arm was lazy. I couldn't lift my arm fast enough, and my coach said, well, if you're not going to get racket speed, we might as well put on equipment that fits your style. So it works in his favor, it works for his game, and that's his unusual setup that can cause a lot of trouble for players to rally with. Now that's his forehand, but his backhand is very smooth, very spinny, and sort of the staple He's got an aggressive spinny backhand that sets up that hammer forehand. He stands tall, about 6'4.5" centimeter-wise. I'm guessing it's somewhere in the 190s.
Yeah, it's 191. I mean, you know, Wang is not a short player at 6 foot, but still there's a big difference between these two.
Yeah, and people often ask, is there an advantage in table tennis?
Yeah.
Is being taller much better? And while there are advantages, for every advantage, there's a disadvantage, which is why all professional players are not 6'4", and why the greatest woman of all time was under 5 feet tall.
First game.
By many people's standards, anyway. Deng Yaping.
So Wang Chuqin up against Mattias Falck.
Love.
Also, while he may have the reach, Adam, am I right in saying that he may not be quite as mobile to get around?
Right, it takes longer. Even to recover from a shot. It's one advantage of this short pips flat hitting forehand is it's not quite as long of a stroke, so he can recover a little bit more quickly. He also has a bigger midsection that can be attacked.
1-2.
He's looking to get on the front foot a lot, isn't he?
He sure is, and that first shot he made, but the second one, when it comes back, if it's low, a lot of spin on it deep on the table, because he doesn't have as much rotation, it's a lower percentage shot, a little flatter.
2-0.
Remember, he has been as high as number 7 in the world, which is higher than Wang Chuqin's ranking. He's only reached as high as 12th in April 2020. This is another one you had pegged down as could be a close one.
Yeah, it absolutely could be. Smart play here. Sees Wang Chuqin starting to turn the corner and punishes him right down the line. That was Jorgen Persson, former world champion of '91 in the coach's corner. The Swedes' great years, the sweet Swedish years. Him and Waldner side by side. 3 world team championships consecutively.
Talked about the celebrations that were had for Falck when he won the silver in the World Championships in 2018 and 2019, sorry.
Runner-up.
Runner-up, yep,
Silver
silver
medalist.
medal, yep. And he went one better, didn't he, in 2021? Won in the doubles, won the gold medal there.
World Championships with his best man from his wedding, Christian Karlsson, formerly a Karlsson himself, not brothers, just common last name in Sweden.
4-5.
Just get the sense we're not going to see too many long rallies in this one.
Yeah, generally that will be the tactic. Both sides have this tactic, but for Falck, it's going to be super important.
6-4.
Was there a clip of the net there? Because he just put his hand up.
Edge of the table, caught
Right.
the edge of the table.
Table this one, right.
It's funny, Mattias Falck, when WTT was first getting started, Chuqin had the chance to choose his opponent, and he said, I'll take the English-speaking name.
6.
He just picked the name randomly. He's like, that guy looks like he probably doesn't speak Chinese. I'll play him. And it was Mattias Falck, and Mattias Falck won the match. Not so many people can say that they've beaten Chuqin. So we'll see if he can offer the same challenge or threat to Wang Chuqin.
Yeah, it's one of the longer rallies we've had.
And it was an outstanding point from the start. Wang Chuqin's first ball was so powerful. Mattias Falck calling for a bit of maintenance on the sweat there. That's the reverse pendulum underspin serve, and Wang Chuqin recognizes that, opens the racket to play it softly and get right into the point. Short side of the table attempted a little bit of inside-out spin from Mattias Falck. Second towel break, and they're dead even now.
You're talking about the short pips for Falck here. He says he's quite surprised that more men have not tried to use the pips, go with the short pips since the ball switch. Tell us about that.
So there have been a few ball changes over the years. It's been a while. We've been playing 40 millimeters instead of 38, but then a few years back it became 40 plus, which was about half a centimeter bigger, and then they switched the material of the ball, and it was less spinny. So since you can't generate as much spin, being aggressive is more important, which is part of the reason so many young players have been succeeding in recent years. Back in the days, you know, the Persson-Waldner days, the ability to really understand like how to use spin to your advantage, it's less of a factor now. So that's why Mattias Falck probably would have said that. Short pips are less about spin, more about nullifying spin, hitting through it, and straight up fast, flat, aggressive play. The longer the pips, the more defensive they get.
No defensive players today so far.
9-8.
Chuqin, who is now 9-8 up here.
Just even thinking on the women's side of the game where short pips are slightly more common. On the forehand, it's not especially common.
And that's just taken the edge, is it?
Sure has. Mattias Falck quick to acknowledge it. So the fortune, little table tennis karma has been returned.
Had a good time as well, because he's on game points here. His coach likes it.
8-10.
How low to the net that serve is. The crazy thing is you probably wouldn't think of it. The serves at this level are so fast, and you can see some of the passion and expression just there as Wang Chuqin stomps his feet. Not so common on the Chinese national team to see, you know, frustration expressed in these ways.
Like you said, he's a bit of an outlier, isn't he?
Sure is.
Try to go for the winner there, but it is Falck who has drawn level.
From this camera angle, you'll be able to see how low, well-placed the ball is. In all fairness, in that replay, that looks like a ball that Wang Chuqin, he'll make that, I'd say 4 out of 5 times for a winner.
So like the previous game, we are in the previous match,
10-11.
which also had deuce. We are at that point now. But he has yet another game point, his 3rd game point now. Wang Chuqin. Saved 3 now. Falck.
See the turn on that ball, the pendulum serve. Now, one thing we call a twiddle, when you turn the racket around 180 degrees, you'll see Mattias Falck do that on his serves, to serve with the spinny side of the racket.
That is a good forehand, isn't it, from Wang. Another game point. This 4th one for Wang Chuqin.
$13-11.
And he's taking that first game. There are clearly some fans in the house as well, as you can hear. Wang Chuqin takes that first game. It's another tight one. 13-11. So Mattias Falck, again, had some really good moments in this first game, didn't he?
He did, but much like with Britt Erland, I don't think he's going to be satisfied. He knows he's capable. Now this package here, this little segment we're going to see, shows you Mattias Falck's forehand. While he does have short pips, which means less rotation, he still spins the ball when he has to. If the ball's lower, he's able to generate spin. They're not frictionless. They still grip the ball, but with less surface area touching the ball, just not quite as much. So it's very tough to really calibrate and know. It's funny, Jorgen Persson, quite a tall player himself, but standing next to Mattias Falck, you wouldn't know it.
Time.
It's funny. Oh, yeah, I was just going to say that Sweden has been so strong in recent years at the World Championships. Mattias Falck and Christian Karlsson have been the leaders of the Swedish men for some time. But with Truls Morgaard and Anton Kjellberg, coming up in the world rankings. It's quite a bright future for Sweden, and both Mattias and Christian are still relatively young by Swedish terms.
Yeah, he first came to attention 2008, Mattias Falck, when he won 3 gold medals in singles in the World Youth Series. Oh, just effortless backhands there.
Yeah, that's dangerous. That's got to be concerning for Mattias Falck, that Wang Chuqin can pull off a shot like that with no warning and no hesitation on the parallel.
That came off the net.
The look here, serve, then twiddle the racket to put the short pips back on the forehand side.
Seems like a man on a mission in this second game.
Yeah, Falck was definitely giving himself some words out there after that. He was quickly put on the defense, backing off the table. The short game is going to be crucial. Right now, texting results, tweeting results, Weiboing. Oh, the flick as well. He's dangerous in this short game.
It is all going very well at the moment for Wang. Seems like a man possessed in this second game after a very, very tight first one. Races to a 4-point lead. That's better from Falck.
Page out of the Wang Chuqin book here so far in this game. A nice parallel backhand to remind him that he's very dangerous on that side. After all, that is the stable side, the more secure side.
5-1. Tried that backhand again. Didn't quite work out this time. Just going to wipe that down the table.
5-1.
Again, some great backhands. He's just showing a lot of confidence in the moment, Wang Chuqin.
This is trouble for Mattias Falck. When he plays forehands like that come back that aggressively, it means Wang Chuqin's got that shot figured out. He's not bothered by the flat shot. But the backhand here, covering the middle with his spinny backhand, could be the backhand that's the secret ingredient to get him through.
Let's see how he takes on this next point. That serve just kicked up a little bit, didn't it? Adjusted well.
I think for Mattias Falck, that's tough. It just shows you how adaptive, again, Wang Chuqin is. Finds the middle on the first. That last shot, Mattias Falck, he's played these backhands well. He has the time. It's a little bit out in front, a little bit more into the elbow.
Again, lovely forehand from Wang, who's now got a 6-point lead.
Scoreline quite different than we saw in game one.
Absolutely. That is the kind of winner he needs at the moment, Falck. Needs a lot more of those.
Take a look at how high this ball actually is when he hits it net height. That is a low ball.
That's also a very good backhand from Falck. A couple of good points from him.
I think just a reminder how important it is at the second towel break for Mattias Falck in the receive game. With those short pips, you wouldn't think he'd be so good at controlling the ball, which is why he turns the racket around to serve with the spinny side. More control when you can create spin, but he's very good with the short shots. It's going to be crucial.
With that twiddling, because he's using the one side and then switching to the other, I know it takes milliseconds to do that, but it's something unusual, isn't it? Well, you don't see that necessarily with others.
Anyone who has different surfaces on their racket knows how to do this. Typically, choppers.
And it doesn't impact. I mean, obviously it's second nature to him now to just twiddle so quick.
Right.
To a layman, they're thinking, whoa, how does he do that so quick and then get the racket on the right side?
We've got a lot to talk about with this. But you're absolutely right. Second nature to him. 6 game points now for the youngin' Wang Chuqin.
11-4.
There you go, Wang Chuqin. 11-4 a much, much different scoreline than we saw in the first game. Wang Chuqin now leading 2 games now. Let's just remind you, there's a huge amount of matches to get through, starting with a round of 64. Lots and lots of those matches. And day 1 and 2, it's all basically round of 64. Then we move into the round of 32 on day 3, and then days 4 and 5, a round of 16. We'll also have the mixed doubles quarterfinals as well. As we come towards the business end of things, we move into the quarterfinals at the end of the first week, and then moving into the semi-finals on day 8 and 9, and on day 10 we'll have the singles finals for you. But lots of matches between now and then. But yeah, going back to that thing, Adam, we were talking about the twiddling.
Yeah, it's important. I think anyone who has some equipment that, say, might not serve their needs in any moment, they need to have a way out. So sometimes twiddling the racket, even the greatest chopper, let's say in the men's game, Ju Se-hyuk, the greatest chopper I've seen maybe in the last several decades, every once in a while he would turn his racket around to put his attacking rubber on his backhand to punch, to surprise the opponent. Because if your opponent gets too comfortable knowing what to expect, they know what to play and how to set it up. So it can be very shocking to be like, wait, what? You can just turn it around and suddenly I have to worry about this shot under this circumstance?
Keeps your opponents thinking.
That's right.
1 love.
That little bit of hesitation that the opponent might feel is going to be very necessary, but a dominant game 2 from Wang Chuqin, so Mattias Falck is going to have to get in here early.
He didn't like that one, didn't he? Wang Chuqin just pointed at that, looked at his coach.
One, 2. Two all.
2 all. That serve just kicking up on Falck.
Two, 4.
Well, there we go. It is just starting to build that little lead. Wang Chuqin. Little music to get the fans going.
Always nice when Will Smith shows up for the tournaments.
2, 4.
The fresh. Anyway.
Three.
Well, he is kind of a fresh prince of Chinese table tennis, Wang Chuqin. He's a little different from everyone else, isn't he?
Yeah. I never thought of him that way, but I like that you brought that up. It's a very good point.
And a good point as well for Falck there.
5, 3.
They go toe-to-toe on big shots. Is that what Falck wants to do? He wants to get his opponent, start playing his big shots on him.
He wants to make the quality shot big first to get Wang Chuqin uncomfortable
on
behind the table.
Right.
Arcing it up a little bit more. But he hasn't shown any problems with this coming in. He's reacting so quickly, and now a timeout on Mattias Falck's side.
There's your magical 3 points as well, the difference.
It's so common. It's almost a standard. I mean, you've seen game shows with letters where they're like, you can take the RSTLNE because we know you're going to guess that because statistically. And similarly, it's a common score, but not always. We did see one earlier, I think, with Singapore's Isaac Kwek at maybe 5-4.
Yeah, it was very close, that one.
But yeah, Wang Chuqin has kept his racket high. He is able to generate so much power with such forward motion. That's another thing. A lot of his teammates have an arcing shot, but he has a very forward, explosive drive that's unlike any of his other teammates. I believe he will be world #1. It's just a question of time.
So, the professional word is a twiddle, I believe. Adam, to take us through this.
Sure, a twiddle. Watch this serve. Watch what he does with his racket right after. Red on forehand. Wait a second. No, it's black on forehand. Short pips. He does that because the red side, which he keeps on his backhand in the rally, he uses for spin. And on serves, you want to be able to spin the ball. It offers you more variety, more control. Without that, occasionally someone will serve with the pip side of their racket, but most of the time they won't. So he'll twiddle from time to time, but especially on the serve.
He's twiddling there for you, just on demand there. And just takes to the edge.
It's another thing you'll see players do even if they don't have pips, sometimes just spinning between points. Something to stay calm and cool, like a little fidget.
Let. 4-6.
Yeah, just keep an eye on it now. Now that we've brought it up, see for yourself as he turns that racket round.
5-6.
That's done him some good, isn't it? That timeout. Got a couple of points.
Yeah, so far so good. It's always nice to get that positive sort of reinforcement after your timeout.
Let. 5-6. 7-5.
So that little run ends for Falck. Chuqin now 2 ahead. Little towel break.
Now, in case you're wondering what Mattias Falck is doing with his racket, he's cleaning off the smooth rubber, the inverted rubber. When he breathes on it, he's like, where was the traction? Maybe there was a little dust on the racket. I'm going to fog it up, put some moisture there, and wipe away the dust for full spin.
So that takes dust. Well, that's a lovely backhand as well, but that takes any kind of dust on it.
That's
Removes
the idea.
The traction.
That's right. It's like, essentially, it's like fogging it up or a spray bottle. And that humidity, you can then remove the dust from the top sheet of the rubber.
Trying to place his shot there, didn't he?
As he should, just wasn't able to put it where he wanted.
Oh, those are frustrating, aren't they?
Well, it's just so impressive that a player who's so explosive can also just come out of nowhere and at the last moment play a touch shot. That's from the baseline of the table. It's not easy to keep it short from so deep, but that's one of the things that makes Wang Chuqin so dangerous.
That's a bit more what we wanted to see, some of those big shots against each other.
Well, Mattias Falck was finally able to find a hole in the middle there. Watch the recovery. Wang Chuqin covers the middle with the forehand here once. Second one, he started to set up for backhand and had to backpedal just a bit, which cost him some time.
Nice winner. Good power from Wang Chuqin. Match points now, 3 of them for the Chinese paddler.
8-10.
Now, I would have expected more of this for any opponent of Mattias Falck, that when he spins the ball like that with the short pips, it's just tough to know how much spin is on it. Really tough to figure out how you should close your racket and counter. But Wang Chuqin has been almost impenetrable in these rallies. Here and there, though, if it's low to the net, Mattias Falck has pulled off these points, so he's got 2 serves if he can get through the first.
Nice serve on that. Very nice serve. You like that one, Adam?
That stood up my eyebrows a bit because fast and long to the backhand from the pendulum, that's a risky serve. Very low margin for error on that, and it shuts down the Chiquita, the banana flick of Wang Chuqin.
Well, you've seen a couple of serves on match points and game points, and gambles been taken, and they've generally worked so far.
That's true.
Oh, he went for it. He went for it.
That was surprising. I think the depth there, it was a very shallow serve. Watch this one more time. He brings in Wang Chuqin, says, give me your best banana flick, but you're going to have to do it from just behind the net.
Nice variation from Falck. Do you see it?
11,
and would you
10.
believe it? Game point. Falck has turned this around. Now, can he finish it off?
11.
Save the game point there. Wang Chuqin, first time he's really been under pressure.
It really,
this game.
Yeah, it felt like self-defense on that last ball because of the placement. Wang Chuqin gets one forehand. You could see the way he powers up, how wide his base is, his stance, and the pivot, the twist from the waist.
Eleven, 12.
And now he has match point again. This is his third match point, Wang Chuqin. He's done it, Wang Chuqin. This has been the closest match so far this morning, in this afternoon session, excuse me. Wang Chuqin, though, has won it in straight games, but Mattias Falck really put some good resistance, stiff resistance, and could have carried two of those games. Went to deuce.
Yeah, it was a strong performance from both sides. Wang Chuqin, no question, was the stronger of the two. The second game was quite a runaway game, but as you mentioned, two very tight games. And after a streak of points from Mattias Falck there, from down a few match points, there were 3 points at least in a row that Mattias Falck just forced Wang Chuqin into an uncomfortable position, but then he found his rhythm and everything changed. The body language was different, and Wang Chuqin never looked back.
Let's have a look at some of the highlights then from this match.
So that right there, that little wince, that extra effort that he put in to power up from the floor. And then Wang Chuqin just control there, keeping it parallel on the backhand. Good look in the eye, respect for the opponent. Good handshake. Whatever he can do, he shows incredible respect for his opponents.
So Wang Chuqin beats Mattias Falck 13-11, 11-4, 13-11. Let's hear from him now.
Wang Chuqin, you've showed everyone what a true up-and-coming force you are. How are preparations coming into this? And talk us through how you're feeling after that win here.
王主席，恭喜你赢了这次的比赛。你是如何为了这次 WTT 新加坡大满贯做准备的呢？
首先我觉得这项赛事非常的高级，然后不论是从奖金上来说，还是从积分上来说，包括所有各个国家最高水平的运动员聚集的一个赛事，我觉得对于自己来说，更重要的是享受每一场比赛，尽全力的去打好每一场比赛。
This is a very high quality match. I have to put in a lot of effort and to analyze the match. And the thing is, I want to enjoy the process of the tournament.
Wang Chuqin, congratulations once again and good luck for the next round.
Thank you.
Well, you think he'd afford himself a bit of a smile. He's played quite well there.
Yeah, it is the first round for Wang Chuqin, and in the first round, it's often the toughest for any seeded players coming in cold, sort of setting into the new environment. They've got an incredible facility here to play in. I had a chance to test out the table, the lighting, and I can tell you, it is incredible.